that pep talk. So Travis and I have been working all morning on the option to when you on board, we're going to go with a little bit more of a structure of mentor and team, a combination, and more to come with that. But the point is simple. We want to be able to help you and to guide you through these transactions. So, but let's before we get any more, say hi. I think Dave, you're on too, man. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm actually just driving back from a couple showings, so I'll probably just more listen in more.
Oh, that's cool. Are they real estate or are they business?
Real estate.
Okay. Good stuff. All right. Well, so again, each week we have these calls for those that are new on the call to just simply be here for you guys and answer questions and also talk some strategy behind the things. And we're getting to the point to where we've got, I don't know if you can see our video. You must have just done that. What'd you do? Did you break it, Trav? There we go. Okay. Now we're back on the computer.
Okay. Well,
We're going to go this way. I'll just leave it alone. We'll be fine. And so we're going to start off the call with talking about some transactions that we're going through right now currently. And there's a sense of whenever you get to a transaction and you got the purchase agreement signed, essentially from the buyer or the seller, but it has not been signed by both yet. There is a lot of trouble that we're running into these last couple of weeks. And I say trouble meaning like questions, how do I present this? How do I overcome this objection? And so I think it would be best if we spent some time for the first 20 minutes going over what that looks like and be able to understand, once this purchase agreement and you feel like they're coming to an agreement or they have yet to accept the offer, how do you talk to these individuals? How do you present it? And most importantly, how do you get the dotted line signed? So just to give you an example, there's another moving company that we're working on. This one specifically is actually JJ's, and we're now on offer 7 when it comes to this business. So 7 offers, 1 buyer. So that's how much we've countered and gone back and forth now. And I'm not sure what's happening, Trav.
that camera's won't turn on.
It's okay. You can see us both. We're fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to spend time going over this and how it was offered and get into the details. So the offer itself was the business was listed for $900,000. Okay. The then future buyer, hopefully, is coming into the agreement with an offer of $400,000, $200,000 cash, $200,000 owner finance.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're not driving and you feel safe and you can talk, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, how do you present that to the buyer or the seller, excuse me? Trav, you can chime in too here without giving the answer away. So how would you present that? Any thoughts? Marsha, I know you're new, but you could jump in all day long.
First of all, welcome, Marsha.
Yeah, welcome,
Hey,
Marsha.
everybody. I'm sorry I can't turn on my video. Like, I'm at a conference and the Wi-Fi internet situation is super sketch here. So
Fair enough. No worries.
Did you say they're offering 400, 200 in finance, 200 in cash, but the listing was like 900?
900,000, yeah.
Jeez.
Yes, that's why this has been my life for the week. And not just this one. There's all kinds of them that we've gone through that are just like this. And first of all, why are people offering so low? That's the first question, right? The valuation came through. The valuation was 1.1 million, believe it or not. But the owner previously listed it at that and it didn't get any bites. And now it's listed at 900,000, started getting some bites with us. Obviously, we put the proper marketing package together. We had a professional SIM. We have a person answering the phone 24/7, right? So that was a very easy way to get the listing. Again, go to existing listings and ask them, are you tired of answering the phone? And if the answer is yes, let us do it for you. So that's how it was all essentially established. Now, how do you go into that person who's selling me and go, I got an offer for you, and you get them excited and you tell them it's not even half, it's a little bit below half what you're asking. Share even your thoughts on this. Curious, what would you say? I know I can see you already the anxiety already. What would you do?
Well, that actually happened on one of my listings, but I just knew that was an investment firm that was just looking to lowball them. And so I said, hey, you know what? I got an offer. I know you're gonna be offended by it, but this is what they offered. And he's like, okay, well, you can't offend me with any offer, but no, I don't want it. And that was it, because that company was not willing to move at all. It, it was one of those investment firms looking to just get a scrappy deal, and that was it. But in yours, I would probably try and see if I could get the seller, more seller financing involved in that to get that buyer up to a higher number.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good thought. What are your thoughts, Trav? Do you need this mic or do you?
No. I don't think it's working.
Okay.
So I don't think I
Okay.
need
Fair
it.
enough. I'm talking to a fake mic.
Hey, that,
Cool,
but
even
it
better.
looks cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all it's about. Yeah, I think, getting the seller, I mean, it just would depend, like, why. I would ask, there's just so many questions I would ask.
Mhm.
Why is it the offer that low because they can only put so much down? Is the offer that low because, like, why is the offer that low? Like, what is their reasoning? What does the buyer have? I mean, it's more just questions that I don't know. So
Yeah.
what's the reasoning that the buyer offered so low?
That's what they feel the business is worth.
So they have the money to put down,
They have
but they feel
$200,000
like
cash
the
on.
business is worth that.
Mhm.
Okay, so are they willing to do more seller financing? Or put less down and put less down? Like, what is, like,
Yeah.
I would say
A lot of questions, right?
that's all it is.
Yeah.
I'm saying we're just gonna ask so many questions, and especially why, I mean, why do they feel that it's valued that way?
Yeah, that's the part that it gets tricky, right? Because you have two people that have two different perspectives on what this business is worth.
Yeah.
To give you more context, it's an individual seller who's owned this business for 22 years. His wife's very much involved. To give you some context, over here you have two brothers that are currently owning a business, and they're buying it from a synergy standpoint because they own a furniture business. So they're trying to get moving companies and as well use this moving company to get in and get leads essentially for people to buy furniture as well. So it's a synergized purchase.
Which is probably one of the biggest, like,
Mhm.
you'll have new ones, but I think you're gonna have a lot of synergy more than anything.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember, Dave, we were talking about this, gosh, a month ago. It seemed like to where, like, even with manufacturing, or we call them the big metal buildings behind the scenes, finding the synergized companies are the way into these guys. Essentially with when it comes to selling them.
Mm-hmm.
But so for me, the first thing and foremost is to first check your own pocket, meaning you're not selling out of it, right? At the end of the day, there's no personal touch to this. It's not like it's a house where you're gonna live in, right? It just like you got on your reaction, Sherry. It's like, this doesn't offend me, but the answer is no, right? And so we have to, as brokers, get ourselves out of the way, essentially. Now, when you offer a house, and I think I actually did this to you when I bought my house. I said, I want to offer this low price, period. And you're like, it's going to offend them and you're going to lose the deal, right? So with real estate, that's the case. With business, it's not the case. And you can offend people left and right, and they're used to it, essentially.
Yeah.
So Sherry, when you go into that person,
Well, does it depend though? It depends on how bad they want that business. If they're not worthy, if they don't care about offending that person because they really like it. So it gives you actually a really telltale is that, like, they can walk away from this business at any point. They don't really care because they're not worried about offending people. If they really love the business, like the advertising company would have never offended them. So like, dude, I really want this business. So if I like offend them, they're gonna be like, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you know what I
depends,
mean?
yeah.
So it's the same thing. Like, if you don't, like, I'm not worried about offending somebody if I really don't want the house. In the investment side, because I'm like, oh, it doesn't make sense if they don't want it. If I can't get it at that price, like, it's all mindset to that.
yes,
But if I really want it, I can't tell them that, but I'm not going to offend them. Like, you know what I mean? I can't tell them I really want the house, but I'm also not going to be like, all right, what's going to be the lowest they can go without offending them?
exactly.
You know
Yeah.
what I
So
mean?
this is exactly why I wanted to have this call for this reason, right? Because in the world of business, it's kind of like when you get into commercial real estate, right? With multi-units and things like that. There's an equation that allows you to offer a certain price that's respected. It's not maybe favored, but they understand how you came up with that number because that's there. That would say out of 100%, I would say in business transactions, 20% of the time is the fact that you can prove to them based off of a financial model that this business is worth this. Okay.
Pretty easy to do.
20% of the time, though, it's used. 80% of the time, it's based off personal feel and touch and whether you want the business or not, type of thing, right? And it's also from the seller side of things. It's like, do you want to hang it up or not? You know, at the end of the day, it's as simple as that. And so we had a conversation with an auto sales company yesterday that we got involved with, because at the end of the day, they're like, this is my minimum number, period, right? Well, okay, but you know, if I told you right now, right here, I would give you 3 million instead of 4 million, are you going to walk away with it? Even though you just told me it's your minimum number. I mean, $3 million is a lot of cash. And they're like, they start thinking about it. As soon as cash hits the table in the world of business, everybody starts changing their mind. So where are we at with this business today? And I'll show you how we get there, but kind of to give you the end of the road, we're settling close to 600,000.
Yeah.
They came down $300,000. And how they did it is simply this. So when you go in to present this to the buyer, excuse me, the seller, you simply say, hey, great news. We, just like you would in real estate, we've got an offer, right? We've got an offer and it's fantastic. However, you do not want to give them too much confidence, right?
Right.
Because if it got an offer within 30 days, they're like, oh, maybe I should sell it for more. Because you don't want to set them up for that and then hit them with the fact that they're asking for half the price, right? So first order of business, take yourself out of the equation when it comes to personality, because you don't matter in the equation. Does that make sense to you at this point? Second point is, when you're setting the buyer up to or the seller up to understand they're about to get an offer, do not put false confidence in their mind that because they have offers, this is going to lead to a better price. Say, when you get that listing agreement, you tell that buyer, that seller that says, hey, you're going to get offers across the board. You're going to get people that are coming in, just like this $4 million auto sales car lot. You're going to get somebody come in and offer it for 500 grand without even looking at the numbers. They don't care. You're going to get people that come in here and offer 2 million with some owner financing. You have to prepare yourself mentally for an offer. So when it does finally come, you're not trying to talk them off the ledge. Okay. So we present this offer, and the offer is exactly how Sherry's person responded is, you know, I'm not offended whatsoever, but you know, the answer is no. So then, you know, where we could have done better on our part is we could have had the guidelines of what is acceptable within a range. Right. So just going back to that our car auto sales lot, it was a situation to where he's like, you know what? I would do actually probably 3.2 cash. And if that's the case, I would do another million in owner financing. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Now we can get some creative auto, owner financing. So we presented this offer to this guy and say, look, here's the deal. We can get really, really creative with this, but their offer is $400,000, $200K, $200K, blah, 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 blah. I was like, but good news, we get a counter. You know, this is just the beginning. That's the good news. Not good news you got an offer. Good news is we get a counter. And that's where, Sherry, you may be at with the situation. It's like, look, let's just counter. Like, look, they are not offended by any of this, right? So let's counter of what we want, not show all of our cards just yet, but let's counter. Okay. So we countered back at 800,000 and all cash. Okay, so we went from, good to worse, essentially, right? We go back to the seller or the buyer, and they're like, no way, we don't have that kind of cash. We're not going to dump into that. We don't want to go through bank financing. We want owner financing. Our new offer now is 300K cash and 100K owner finance.
Okay.
So the price did not go up. They just simply did more cash. Okay. So then at that point, we called a pivot and we said, let's meet in person. Let's negotiate in person, because at the end of the day, everybody's tough behind an email, right? But when you get two business owners into a table together, they're going to start putting their cards on the table themselves. Okay. So we got together and they both shared their expressions of like, hey, I'm not willing to pay this. It's not worth this. And this is the reason why, Mr. Seller, because if I get a loan, I can't afford anything else if I have to pay back that amount of money. And they flipped over the page and showed them that was the case. Look, if the debt pay down is 12 grand a month and the cash flow is 15, I'm buying a business to make $30,000 in cash flow a year. And it's just not affordable. So the owner's like, oh my goodness, you're probably right. So then they came back, they said, let's think on it. And the seller then essentially made it a counter again that said, hey, look, we'll do 700, 400K cash, 300K owner finance. I'm like, now we're getting somewhere. Right now we're getting down. This highway is slowly starting to close. So we go again. We get to the final. So the buyer comes back and says, you know what? I'm willing to do 600, that cash down, 200K owner financing, but 700 is too much. So they said, you know what, let's meet again. So here we are at the dinner table once again, but this time the wife comes of the seller.
Bum, bum, bum.
Right? Wife, spouses, and landlords are the death of you in business brokerage. I can tell you that. It goes quickly south when these guys get involved. So they
I
show
don't
up.
even know the story, so I'm like hanging on every word, guys.
Yeah, so
Don't know
she
this
shows,
one.
so
First
she
I'm
shows
hearing
up and she tells the buyer straight up, face to face, I want more money. I don't care what your numbers say. We want to retire.
Yeah, Louis
And
Vuitton.
I'm like, oh yeah, Louis Vuitton, right? And so they're like, okay, we understand. Well, then what's your deal? Well, they keep saying, think on it overnight, and then we'll get back to each other. They never wanted to present the deal, right? And the reason is because wife and husband were arguing behind the scenes of what they really said. Husband's like, look, I'm tired. And wife's like, I don't care if you're tired or not. I need money. We need the money. That's true, right? And so they were arguing back behind the scenes, right? So finally we came to the deal of $600,000, 400 and 200, right? And now the documents are getting drawn up to where they just essentially are, they want to be able to do an amortization over 25 years with a 5-year balloon. So for those that don't know what that means, essentially they're going to pretend a loan that's broken down over 25 years, but then at the end of 5 years, they have to pay all of it back.
To pay a lower monthly.
Yes.
payment.
Now everybody's got a cash flow, and everybody's good to go. Now, with that said, and I'll stop for a second actually before I keep going. Any questions on that part of it? Before I go
No.
break. No. Hey, Deb, by the way, good to see you.
Hi. Morning, guys.
Did you think that we were going to be able to get to a deal with how far we were apart?
I figured you'd find a way.
Yeah.
That's what we call Corey Harvey.
Corey Harvey, yeah. Yeah. No, believe it or not, it was JJ with obviously the team approach of saying, you might try this, you might try that, you might try this, right? And one of the things that you want to be able to always stress to the seller is if you can't pay the money back, what's the point of buying the business? At the end of the day, if you can't make money off this, then you can't really buy it. So that's where at the end of the day, most deals will get evaluated, market evaluated. We have that, obviously, that service with us guys. Again, it's a free service that you could use for any business that you get. And then it gets charged on the end. So no money up front.
Yeah,
but
how
then-
do we plug into that service? I'm sorry, how do we plug into that service?
Yes. So Travis is going to make a form because we did it through
You talking the team service? The team?
the valuation with Brian and team.
Oh, yeah.
With
Your best bet right now is just probably if you need one, just get on the website, you just go put a request and then that'll go to
Okay.
Brian. Reach out to you.
Okay.
Yep.
That'd be the best place if you need an
A su-
evaluation.
Like a support ticket kind of thing?
Yeah, but it's just on bizbrokerplus.com. So anyway, it's like whether a consumer wanted to do it or you want to do it.
Oh,
like
I see.
that goes straight to, that's just going to go straight to Brian to kind of
Yep.
keep it easy.
Perfect.
So, yep.
Okay,
and his should get back with you within 24 hours, type of thing. Now, so the idea of, first of all, again, to review, one, take your time and your money and your own pocket out of the equation. You're not buying this, you're not selling it, so you don't get the decision on whether to persuade anybody with this. Your job is to present, but bring excitement and encounters
And options.
and options, right?
You're the option guy.
Yeah. Two, you need to level set at the beginning. If you have problems in the negotiation, it's because you didn't do your due diligence at the beginning when getting your listing agreement. I said it before, and I said it in all the trainings. You have to pressure test. Pressure. Understand what they're going to take, what they're willing to do, what's their lowest, what's their highest. Look, you're signing an NDA, so it's all stays between you and the seller. Okay. The third point is don't involve spouses if you don't have to. And then,
I've got so many partners that do that, and I
Yeah.
just laugh every time they go, well, my wife said it was okay.
yeah.
I just love when they say that.
Yeah. No, totally kidding. The third point would be go outside of email when it comes to offers. Go break some bread. We went to Panera Bread, had a great sandwich. We laughed. They were just like they do in real estate. They were picking the furniture out in the house before they bought the house. The new seller was with the seller and the buyer were talking about things they would do differently, what they would want. I mean, they felt good about the situation.
What is the What is the time period that the seller is going to help the buyer when on the transition period? Is there a time period of that?
Yeah, training and all that good stuff, 6 months.
So with that being said, opposed to being like a real estate, it's really important to kind of understand that they are going to talk at some point, and sometimes it's better to have those conversations at the beginning. That especially if you feel like a deal's going to happen,
Yep.
sometimes it's better and breaking bread is the best way. Getting them in a room or getting them on a phone call, maybe not the best, but one thing we all like to do is eat.
Exactly.
And it actually has a calming feeling to that when you guys are breaking bread, because it feels more intimate than it is like, hey, let's just talk about business.
Yep. And yep, exactly. 100%. And JJ was super smart by doing that, right? You know, JJ obviously is a full-time community pastor. There's no better way to do it than just to break bread and have some fun with it, right? But that leads to, you just made a fantastic point. That was going to be my carrot at the end, right?
I'm there, bro. I know.
So they just agree at that price. Yes, they did, but there were some value adds that have monetary volume or value that are accounted for in the sale. And one of them was, can you move training from 3 months to 6 months? That is a negotiation tactic that's, look, this guy's time's worth a lot of money. 3 months of time is cost you nothing, but it cost him something.
Yeah.
So throw that in
retired at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. Or, could you, before I give you any more, does anybody have any other value adds that they would add in that are not part of the negotiation that has to do with money? Could there be anything that we could offer them in the transaction? Any challenge?
Anything that we can offer them in there. I think about this business.
Well, what happens if you sell a house, and what's the famous thing you sell a house with?
What's the famous thing you sell?
Yeah, every realtor sells it. At least my realtors.
Oh, like warranty?
Warranties.
Yeah.
Right? Warranties. So what would be equivalent to a warranty in business?
You're probably talking about basically a guarantee of certain amount. Is that what you're talking about? Like,
yeah, exactly. And so there was an earn-out clause in the contract. So they said, hey, look, if you make $150,000 in profit in 2025, we get 50K of that for the next 3 years. So again, everybody wins. So we'll offer you I'll come down to that $600,000 price, but I could end up actually selling it for $850,000 based off of profit, right? So that happens all the time in the world of business.
Yeah, all the time.
The second thing,
you still have something going on with the advertising company, very similar.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's
like based off of customers.
Yes.
Yeah. So the other thing you could do is, don't forget interest on owner financing. Add that up. That was 48 grand into the owner's pocket over the next 3 years. Right. So now we're talking, the business really isn't getting sold for 600,000. The business is really going to get sold for 700 to 800,000 based off of those other ones. The other thing that you could add in there, if you're on the seller side of things, hey, look, I tell you what, I won't go down to 600, but I will do 650, and I will buy you an SEO package. I will buy you a consultancy package that allows someone to come in, and that may be worth 10 grand, but now he's not conceding 50. He's conceding 10, and that might be more valuable than the 50K for the new person.
So they're doing?
No, but that's an extra one. That's what we offered those things, but no.
Oh,
but yeah, I know, right? I know.
You know where my head's going. Did you say SEO?
Yes, SEO, yeah. Or what about, hey, I'll build you out. Your website kind of is, not too good. Why don't we do and pay an engineer to develop your website for you for $5 grand? These are all things, again, this is all monopoly money at the end because it just comes out of the transaction. So think creatively as you're going through this and you're negotiating. So
yeah, and these are the things that we want to bring to the table here, right? So if you're having these things, and you're having these moments of, and this is what we always say in real estate: what is the best offer you have? It's usually the first one, because if you write that off and you say, hey, I'm not going to do this offer because it's super low, like, no, work it. Like, work that offer, because it may be the only one you get. And so it's always a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And you say, I could go get that. This is a crappy, like, tell them to screw off.
Yep.
Exactly. And you can't work it.
Exactly.
Because there is going to be some common ground that you're going to be able to find if you have the right support. And so that's what we're here for, to do, is support you in this. So that's what Corey is really great. You see these But I will tell you, this is why the team structure is so important, because not only is Corey, like, JJ came up with this, they're learning from each other. So it's that they're not, like, Corey's not doing this deal and JJ's not doing this deal and Ryan's not doing, they're all doing it and they're all learning this and they're sharing this learning experience together. And this is why we're trying to really establish the team concept here, because we know how valuable it is to you as the brokers. And so I think that out of all of this, like, the deal structure is really great. The deal structure maybe wouldn't have happened if Corey would just been involved, or JJ would have just been involved, or Ryan may have just been involved. It took a collective team to figure this out. And sometimes it takes that in these complex situations. You know, one person's not going to always think outside the box.
Yeah, exactly. And so the big vision that Travis and I are putting together is, we really want to have in the company itself, you're obviously multimedia marketing, and you can help teams and team leaders based off of those questions. And then for me, it's all the transaction side of things, right? So we want to be able to build teams for yourself. For you guys, I know, Sherry, you lead a team as well. I don't think Dave has a team just yet, right? Dave, you're kind of on your side. You're still crushing it on the manufacturing side of things, right?
Yeah, I'm just still getting started. I just keep running into different things as far as, the conflict between real estate and the business side of it. It seems like as soon as I try to get started, I get some people call me saying, hey, we want to get going on selling our home or buying one. And that kind of pulls me back off of it.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, though, right? I'd rather have that problem than nobody calling, right? So,
which is why, I mean, and truly, I think you and Sherry should figure out if you can work the team structure, because what they're going to do is you're going to have a very set tasks that you're going to be able to do that's going to be very small than taking the whole transaction on. Right. And so maybe it's something that you all can collaborate on that, because taking on a whole transaction like Corey is talking, it's a lot. But if you have a team structure of doing certain things, it's like, hey, yeah, I don't have to do the whole thing because I'm just running this part. And I may be able to fit it into your life. And that's kind of what we're seeing too, especially on the real estate side too. It's like you have other things, like JJ's a pastor, like Ryan's got another job. So it's one of those things that they're balancing that same act. And that's why the team structure works for Corey and them very well,
exactly.
because of that too. So I would say, like, if you're playing that balancing act, we'll say, how can I balance this better? Or how can I take some things off my plate and still make money off of business brokering? Like, how can I do that and then learn too? So I would definitely encourage you to check in with Sherry and see if that's something that makes sense.
And for right now, and for a limited time, we talked about this because Travis is putting my handcuffs on, but I want to be part of your teams, and help you guys, and then you guys can kick me off when you don't need me anymore, right? That's the goal, to be able to start putting teams across. So Dave, if you need help with, for example, acquisition and getting listings, let's start a team. We put it together, and then you can help transact, list, and answer buyer questions, things like that. But I'd rather have that, because I could tell you from a standpoint of a pilot that we're running right now, right here in Austin with these teams, you're talking $700,000-800,000 in commission that's going to be dispersed. You're splitting it 3 ways, so it's better than trying to do this all by yourself. But for me, that's a win, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, then you get it. I mean, you're developing a process that can be implemented and ran over and over and over and over. And then you're really, I mean, we're honing in on tasks. You guys are honing on, this is what I do, opposed to I have to do it all. Like, and then we run around with a chicken with their head cut off, because they're like, hey, I gotta call these buyers. I still gotta get listings. I gotta put this thing up, opposed to like having the structure of that. Because really, I mean, in all reality, it's like you need an assistant to do a lot of the other work, unless you have a team that can basically, you guys are assisting each other. Like you guys are, someone's got to throw the ball and someone's got to catch it.
Exactly. So Sherry, I know you started a team as well, right? So
yeah, and we're trying to get that structure going in Minneapolis too. We've got we just don't have the balance of people taking the different roles. And so that's a challenge, because I don't want to just build a team around people that all 3 really want to just be doing the listings and no one wants to be doing the buyer or the marketing part. It doesn't work that way. You want people that naturally really want to follow up with those buyers that are on the team. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for failure, I think, too.
But there's other options too, because what you're saying is, hey, I have gunslingers that want to go out and get listings and want to get acquisitions. That's
Mhm.
not a bad problem. That's just
No.
we need to have a solution to that. So
Yep.
if you guys came together and said, well, what can we do to answer these calls? Maybe we all go in together, hire somebody that is a virtual assistant or an assistant that is taking those calls. Like there's a solution to it. And you say, hey, listen, well, then we're all going out and finding listings and they're doing that buyer side. And then when they do get the buyer, they ping them over to you. And then you're doing that. There's so many ways to structure a team based upon the personality. So because sometimes you're gonna have gunslingers, right? Like you're gonna have that, right? You're gonna have Shaq and Kobe, and they both want the ball. Like you're not gonna have those based upon the structure of who they are as far as their profile. Like like I know me and my wife, we are both. She is like go, I'm go, but we literally have to go line. You do this, I do that, because if not, we're going to be doing this the whole time. And I'm going to tell you, we've had some fights.
Yeah, sure.
We've had some fights.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that like you have to, so within your team, you have to play off their strengths. And I don't want to say you're going to have to make someone do marketing or someone do buyer. You guys got to figure that part out, because if you guys both say, hey, we want to do this, it could be money that you guys are putting in on a monthly basis to actually hire somebody that just wants to follow up the buyers.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this earlier this week, that process you were starting to put in place with the woman assistant, I forget what her name was. And you had a
Sam?
really good, Sam, yeah, you had a really good thing figured out. Like if we could get someone like her to do that for us and we pay her to do that, then we're all out getting the listings. We got the buyer side.
Okay.
I think that you also are mentoring people too. So we have Ryan that's mentoring, right? So you could tell him like, hey, we have a job for you. Like, is this something that you want to do? Even though he may be in a different city, he may be able to do that and say, I want to share in the commission and learn. Like he's totally fine. That's what the mentorship too is, like you're teaching them, and then you can kind of place them in a certain place. But I know Corey says something.
Yeah, I was asking, so which part is it that you're having trouble with sharing your team? Is it the getting the listings or the processing them?
The buyer follow-up. Because I've got people that want to do the getting the listings and that want to do the marketing part of it, but the buyer follow-up is not where people, and if that's not your strength either, then people aren't going to do it. And then the team's going to be mad at them. And so that's a tricky
I wouldn't
thing.
think that'd be the usually it's the getting the listings because it's nerve-wracking.
They're real estate agents, so they're going to be like, that's why they're already doing that every day, right? And so I think they're not S's, they're all D's probably. You guys are all, I mean, you guys are all DIs. I would tell you, I know
Yep,
both of
absolutely.
you guys are all DIs. So you guys want to go, but you want to be personable. But to be that is somebody that's going to be like, hey, I'm fine just waiting till the call comes in and answering it, right? And being fine with that. But you guys don't, someone that doesn't have that I, if you had like a D and an S together, perfect. Which if you guys don't know disc profile, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do know. Yeah.
So if you have that's the structure of it that you can, but you guys got to figure that part out, because it's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity. And the opportunity would be if you can find somebody, whether it's a mentor, someone you're mentoring, which I know you just got Ryan. So maybe that's a conversation. Hey, Ryan, we have this job. It's you answering calls. Listen, do you want to make money not being in Minnesota? We can structure this. This is what it's about. And so you can have him be like, hey, we'll teach you how to do this, as opposed to going to hiring somebody. And then I think with the resquared part, the buyers are doing, you have to frame it that way, because like we talked when we were doing when we were talking with the group, that buyer that is calling the buyers is actually going to be eventually going and getting listings also in a different capacity. Because if they're answering the buyer call and they go, hey, yeah, I really like that detailing company, but I really wanted a car wash. I didn't realize there was a detailing company. You go, cool, well, what do you want? And then they go out, they take the resquared data and they say, cool, I'm marketing for this. I'm going to call sellers. So they're doing both, because one is waiting for, like, we don't want someone to be waiting for calls. We want them to have something to do when they're not waiting, and that's reaching out. So that buyer acquisition part, that buyer like calling, the second part is taking those buyers and going and finding more listings using that buyer data, because you're not going to go do that. You're going to go out and do cold calling and do all the things that you guys are doing. And so there's a way to structure it, but that's where the structure of the teams are going to be different based upon their personalities and what they truly want to do. And so I think you guys have to figure out, if you guys want to do that, don't go against the grain, because what's going to happen is they're not going to want to do that for very long. Yeah, it sucks, right? One, I would ask your mentor, and say, hey, listen, and then just present it. We have a great opportunity for you. You can make some money. You're going to already get some traction with these buyers. And then you say, here's what you do when you get the buyers. Do the buyer box. And then let's go out, call some listings, call some seller, some business
Well, you
owners.
kick that back over to the person in the front of the line who's getting listings. That would do that.
Yeah, well, once they got the listing, once they get the appointment, what they're out calling these using Resquare, they're out calling them, because if not, if you're just filling buyer inquiries, you're waiting by the phone. So you got to say, hey, I'm going out. They're all marketing, and the marketing side is the same thing, right? So the marketing side could be, hey, well, once the listing goes up, right, the first thing the marketing guy is doing is I'm going after if you have a bake shop, and you're on the marketing side, this isn't the buyer side, and this isn't the listing person side. This is marketing is like, I'm calling every bakery around here and saying, hey, do you need to synergize? Because I have this opportunity. If you guys want to open a second location, it's ready to go for you. He's also going out and getting listings, because that person in the front can't always do that. And that's not a market. He's not doing marketing. They're going out and consistently so each one of those, like I said in our call, they're all prospecting just differently. They're categorizing prospecting, right? And so the one is like the front spot should be bringing in new business. Like what Corey's doing, he's bringing in new business. But when you have a listing, that marketing guy is going out and marketing that. And the first step to marketing, as we've seen, is the synergy. And then take this and what just happened with the moving company. Who's buying it? It's not another moving company. It's a furniture store. That's a freaking awesome synergy play. Like that's super. So you can go kind of outside of that too. Be like, well, who would want this? Go to a furniture store. Maybe it's not a bake shop. Maybe it's something else, right? Maybe it's a donut shop. But it constantly gives you a reason to reach out to people. So each one can have a very strategic way of continuing to bring deals in. And then that at the front, what happens when you get a listing appointment? You kick it up top, and they go crush the listing. And it's just rinse and repeat. So
one thing too, Marcia, like I know you're new and to the team here today, but if you're like, hey, that sounds good for me, you can join. Travis made the point, teams in Minnesota. And, there's a new Colorado team that's starting up as well. That's doing this type of, profile, if you will. So join teams, and Sherry, join other teams as well. You don't have to be on just your team, and everybody plays a part in this.
Do you have that written down nicely to explain the roles for people to help them understand the lanes that are established?
Yeah, Corey's working on that based upon his pilot that he's doing. He's going to work on that and kind of those and what position and what roles, and then what marketing will do to help bring more business. They're all three of those positions are, and this is the one that you have to get. They're not sedentary roles waiting. They have jobs that should bring business in and acquire business listings. Like the buyer, if he gets a seller, it's like, yeah, actually, I'm interested. Like of his reach out goes up to the top because they're doing the listing appointments. Your goal for all of them is to keep the person in the front, the most exhausted person ever, because all they're doing is going on listing appointments. And you know what I mean? And so he's getting them, everyone else getting them. It's from the marketing, like, hey, you know what? On the marketing side, he's like, you know what? I called this company, this bakery, tried to see if there was a synergy, and they actually want to sell. Corey, go on. You got to go on a listing appointment, and then it just kind of repeats. So the marketing side of that, no matter what, you guys are all lead generation. You can't always. That is the only thing that brings money in is lead generation. Nothing else does. It's all support roles, but you're always lead generation in different ways, because you always have a role. So as far as the reason I say that, explaining that to any one of your team members, and they go, I want to go out and get listings. If you're doing one of those roles, you are just differently, right? It's just differently. One's going to be more cold calling. One's going to be taking the actual listings and trying to go get more listings, or trying to close it, one of the two, which will all evolve in the buyers taking those buyers and trying to get listings or close those deals. And then it's all works together. Like it truly does. But no matter what, that whole team is lead generation.
I love the way you explained that.
Make your team structure work.
Yeah.
This
is really,
what's that?
This is really helpful of explaining that everybody's still lead generating. It's just in different ways and different, so that's really helpful. I'm going to go back and rewind this and write this down to have in the meantime until you guys get the official roles.
Yeah, we'll put the teams up, the official teams. There's probably 4 or 5 teams that are going to be active. If you're interested in building some more out, just contact me directly. and we'll build some stuff out, because I can personally, from my skill set, and again, I can do it only so many times until we get there, but whether you're in Michigan or whether you're in California, I can find listings pretty
100%.
quickly. But then I just don't have the time to see them through and answer the buyer phone calls just because I'm doing it. So if you want to use me as a part of your team for that, for the meantime, happy to do it and start it. So the next step is as we had 6 new brokers sign up just last week alone. They're coming, half of them have experience in doing real estate, half of them don't. The ones that are really want to join a team, they can then essentially, you could be mentors. The team can be a mentor to them. That
Mhm.
person can be a mentor. And then that's how you start building your team, because then you find sharks
Yep.
and you find people that are fitting the certain roles within your team, type of thing. So anyway, yeah. And then one last thing I wanted to talk about, because I'm super excited about it. The
Do I know about it?
transactions. Yeah.
Oh,
You're the one that-
okay.
you're in charge of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I called 7 lawyer offices that are partners of ours, different
Okay.
lawyers across the United States. And I asked them, when they do an owner finance deal, how do
Oh,
you
yeah.
how do you actually control the owner getting paid? Like, I know that there's an amortization schedule, but like, I know that you, the legal office, are not in charge of collecting the money. But from your experience seeing all these owner financing deals go through, how do owners and sellers pay each other? And they're like, it's a check. I'm like, what do you mean it's a check? Like, they write a check every month? They're like, yeah, just write a check. And that's how they pay the owner finance. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this, 1930? I mean, like, look, there's got to be another way to do this. And the reason why I was asking is because there's a parlay to it. When you do an owner financing, like the dealers talked about, they're like, hey, of my 400K cash, you're taking 125 of that. And I don't think that's fair that I have to owner finance this and you don't have to. Does that make sense? So they're like, especially if you're like, you sell a $50,000 business and someone puts $5,000 down and they owe you $15,000 in commission. So we're pretty excited to talk about this, but we now have the ability to be able to take a buyer and a seller and put an amortization schedule and automatic transactions to where every month the buyer pays one payment and then it gets distributed to you and the seller based off of the percentage that's been agreed upon until you are paid back as well. So part of this $125,000, 50,000 of that is going to be a monthly payment to JJ. So he will get $850 a month for the next 3 years. He'll get the other 75,000 upfront. So instead of deals just falling through, because like, I don't want to pay that commission, or I can't do that, afford to pay you and do this owner finance deal, you're able to push deals through a lot quicker now because you're able to do financing yourself as a broker.
Mhm.
So again, if you have that floral shop that's $75,000 or $50,000 to buy, and then you can easily advertise this. So again, of course, we piloted it. There's a t-shirt shop, another one. These are like hotcakes, like Big Frog. They're popping up everywhere. And they wanted $300,000. Someone came in and offered $20,000 down, the rest owner finance. And this thing's been on the market for 6 months. Okay.
Yeah, it was one of our first listings.
Yeah. Right. And it's like, the answer was no. Well, now that we can do transactions like this, the answer turned into yes. So there's an agreed upon payment, 20 grand down. You get distributed this as a seller, and we get distributed this. We're in this deal together. And if it defaults, they don't pay, the business goes back, obviously, to the seller, and then we just don't get our money. But the alternative was we weren't going to get our money anyway.
Question is,
Yeah.
based upon that though, can we put a lien on the business?
Yes and no.
Did you ask
We
lawyers
could have
that?
percentage of the business that we own together. It gets complicated.
Yeah.
It's just cleaner if you just say the business goes back to them. You could put
Oh,
a
the
lien.
business goes back to the person.
Yeah,
Got it. If they don't
exactly.
pay. So that's super.
exactly.
Got it.
So now, it's a $1,400 a month payment that comes into our account every single month. And we would not have probably closed this thing because they were over asking, to be honest with you. So it's just another tool for you to say, you know what, it's okay. Don't worry about the commissions. Don't worry about if it's a lot of owner financing. We have automated systems now that will allow you to do owner financing with interest, and it will send out quarterly statements, monthly statements, all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
any questions on that? I know it's complicated. There's
So
more,
let me explain why this is, and Corey, I think, is being very light on this. This is absolutely a game changer, because the most reason why businesses don't sell and so this is a way for the marketing side for us to be able to explain this to the potential buyers, is that if we have this, and to our sellers, that we're going to be able to close so many more deals, because it's a lot of times is the down payment that gets messed up. So if we can lower that up, and we can say, hey, listen, we have an automated system, we have this set up. There is nobody in business brokering that is doing this. We are the only one. And in fact, when Corey talked to them, and I've talked to a couple of different companies, they've done it little pieces, maybe. They've never had a company that said, this is going to be our marketing strategy to us, is that you can own a business for very little down. And the goal of it is that for us to generate more buyers, which will help generate more listings. And hopefully is that as we start talking to these sellers, it's actually going to make them more money. Well, why is it going to make more money? Because we have the leverage. Hey, you want this business very low down, you're going to pay more for the business. That's how it's going to work typically with seller financing, right? So it's like they will pay more for this moving company if it's mostly seller financing, right? But if not, they're going to pay a little, because it doesn't make sense for them to do that. And so for us, you guys are going to have so much leverage, and this is going to be a marketing thing that we will be pushing to sellers, to buyers, to anybody, that you guys are going to have the ability that no other business brokerage has, business brokering firm has, because we are very much trying to stay ahead of the curve, and we're trying to be the curve, because there's nobody doing it this way. And so when we see that, we go, well, why? One, is there anything bad about it? And then we look and it was like, no, there's not. There's no negative to it. And then second thing is, what's the benefit? Okay, well, the benefit is huge. And it's mostly because they're not thinking outside the box. And that's what we're doing. So Corey, when he's saying this, man, it is massive. Like, it is huge that when we get this system done, which will probably be in the next couple of months, like, you guys are going to be able to market the crap out of your businesses.
You know me, I always like to put the cart before the horse. Market it now, and if you get a business
Always,
sold based
yes.
off of this, because we already did one,
Yeah.
then you can then we'll
Yes.
put it on a booster for you.
You guys can do this now. You guys can do this now. The system will be up and operational, that you guys are going to be. And I'll tell you what, how awesome is this? For 3 years, he's going to have an extra $870 coming in. Now do that 10 times. Let's do that 10 times. And you just kind of rinse and repeat. So it's great to have that, huge chunk of what it is, but imagine you start building that. So yeah, let's close the big deals. Let's get those big commission. But if you can't, something's better than nothing. And it's really nice to have that extra salary as
or a portion of the, $125,000 for a commission broker. It seems high if you're not used to this industry, but it's not, right? But you get to $300,000-$400,000 commissions, it's a lot of money, and they want to make sure you have some skin in the game with the financing too, versus them putting all their cash to you as well. So
100%.
It's a big deal. Again, you'll start getting into the $3-5 million ranges. I know, Dave, that's where you want to play to in your manufacturing range, right? So this will be an option to, I don't know, a manufacturing company for sale 150 grand. That'd be sweet if it was. We would buy it together. But
we cut Dave out.
What are you gonna say, Dave? Go ahead. Oh, I can't hear you.
I think you're muted, Dave.
Words. No, still can't hear you. Is it us? Sherry, can you hear him, or Vlad?
I can't hear him.
Okay. Okay. Huh.
No. I think that something's not.
He's not muted.
No, I think
There
his
might be a setting in Zoom. I know
someone check
sometimes
his
you could go
microphone
in.
on Zoom.
Yeah, the Zoom
Audio.
audio settings
that's
probably has
probably
to
what-
change that.
I will let him.
While we're waiting, anyone got any deals that they need to talk about?
Yeah.
Well,
Sherry.
And I have a question, because actually I'm going on a $5 million listing appointment this afternoon. So
Sherry's like going after the big ones now.
but this is going to be really helpful, because this guy is like, well, I don't want to pay all that commission, that kind of thing. But my question is, well, I got a couple questions. One, so like, do we just prorate that commission, like on a percent of it is equal to that cash that was paid, and then the rest of it is on what's financed? And then do you get paid your 30% out of that over all of that time?
Yeah, that's the idea is, the firm gets paid, you get paid, and the seller gets paid at all the
Okay.
times. And how that
Okay.
works out behind the scenes is all negotiable. But
Sure.
what I would focus on the fact that, hey, the idea if you have a $5 million listing is, normally, if it doesn't include real estate, you need to have 20% down. That's a lot of money for people. So, maybe require 10% down, and then, you owner finance their other 10%, right? So even that portion of it is just, again, get to the table, just know that we have that option to put in our pocket if we need it. So
Mhm.
Dave, are
Okay.
you live yet? No. Oh, that's okay.
I have another question then.
Yeah, please.
This company today, he owns the land that his company is on, and so he's selling the business with the land together. And he brought up, well, they'll do less, the commission is less on real estate versus on the business, and what's a good way to talk that conversation with him? Because I mean, you can't really even split it out. I don't know. I'm just confused on like how best to explain this to him to get him to sign and feel like he got a deal.
100%. So it's a great question, and every transaction is different. Okay, but I could tell you that it depends on the lender.
Okay.
So the lender, if it's on finance, you do whatever you want. One, right? Two, if it's SBA loan backed by, SBA backed, then you can combine them. And the commission will be based off of commission for real estate, which is normally what, 6%, I think it is, if you're the buyer, agent, seller, right? And then in addition to that, the business is 15. So you can separate those out for sure. The third option is private lending. And again, the commission doesn't matter. It's based off of your consultancy fee.
Okay.
So with real estate, though, with a backed lender that's approved by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or SBA, you will 100% have your commission guidelines and rules you have to follow. But you will then transact that separately from the business. And I can tell you, we're doing one right now. It's it's a car dealership. It's the same.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good to know that it will transact separate, even though he's saying it's 5 million for the business and the real estate on the back end. It will transact as two separate
Yeah.
transactions. So I can say 6% on the real estate and 10% on the business, because in Minnesota, everywhere I turn, if it's over 1 million, they say, oh, well, this
Oh,
other
yeah.
broker said 10%. It's just what Minnesota does if you get over 1 million. And so,
I think it's pretty standard over $1 million to be able to do that. I think that, like, we have a dentist, a broker that comes on, and she does only dentist offices. And that's what she's like, hey, it's 15%. But when it goes over 1 million, she's like, that's the break. That's the break typically. I mean, push it all you can.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'll always get the
I'll bring Corey with
but
me.
also you just know if someone else is coming behind you, like,
Yeah.
100 grand is 100 grand. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, I figure 10% of that is better than nothing. So I'll take that.
You just play it out and fill out the person, you know what I mean? Fill out the person, because
I could tell you that just to give you a perspective, there's an $18 million one that's coming to the market, 1.8 mil, and we sell it at 9%. So, and that was fair.
is it the
This is a bank, this is another car dealership.
was the one with Riley?
Yeah, and a mechanic shop. It's
Yeah.
another one. It's in Oklahoma. Yeah. So, but that's the part too, guys. Like, if Riley could, she's on the call, but I guarantee she'd be raising her hand. Like, I want a team. Like, please, like, join my team. And this is where, like, I mean, like Dave, Sherry, Marsha, call her, be like, let's team up, because, man, get a piece of that pie. Because she's a killer to get listings. Not so much on the processing and dealing with buyers. She just doesn't know how to answer some of these questions yet.
And I'll say too, like, especially Dave too, man, like, if you're looking in the manufacturing space, if you're looking at that, dude, she'll go out and find some for you. And then you're just going to have to be able to use your kind of understanding of that. And you guys could freaking synergize like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you really could. She's like been here a week and a half, and she's literally just like, I'm like, you're just going after all the big deals.
Yeah.
And she's like, why not? And I was
Yeah.
like,
Well, there's another wonderful lady named Tina that's coming on board that I don't have. She's literally at our church, and I don't have time. Like, I just don't. And she's bringing on this sign business that's like a $2.8 million sign business. like Dave, like Jerry, like call, she will happily welcome you on the team and split the commissions 50-50, no questions asked.
Yeah.
And that's the part to where we want to be able to put you, if you don't have your faces on our website, get on there, because we want to build the teams, build your faces so they could pick. Because Trav does an onboarding session every Wednesday each week for these individuals to start picking these teams if you're open to taking people.
So that's part of the kickoff too, is saying, are you guys looking to jump on a team? Here's the benefits of it. And then we'll send out a structure. We'll get that figured out. But I think it was super important, hyper important for you guys to get on one. And also do me a favor. If you guys get some of these contracts, if you guys get any of these, anything, any traction, you get a listing, go post it at headquarters, please. Because we're going to create little teams, but we're all one big team. And I want everyone to celebrate each other, because when I hear these things, like, I get excited. Like, this is what's going to, when I hear someone getting a listing, I'm like, let's go. And then everyone will feel that same thing, that they're going to, it's going to motivate them. It can be done. And so please, when you go on a listing appointment, post as much as you can in there, because people are paying attention and it really does help. It really, truly does.
All right. I sent out the recording, but we actually have an appointment ourselves to go to.
Yep.
So
and the last course it should be available here today. So it's all ready to go. So Get to the Table talks about negotiating, funding, and basically the whole closing process. It's all should be available today. There'll be a post in headquarters where to go get it. But it's going to be ready for you guys to take that last course. And so now we're going to move on to something else. And but we're really excited for that. So go ahead and take that last course. It's going to walk through a lot of funding options. It's honestly one that has jam-packed content on it. So Vlad will be putting that into the headquarters here, with the way to get it. It'll be in the hub. So go watch that video if you guys have completed the first 3. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank
All right.
you.
chat soon.
We'll talk to you guys later. Have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go, Dave. I can hear you.
Are you here, Dave?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. Of course. We'll see, Dave.
Yeah,
Dave, give me a ring.
Right
Let's
at the
talk.
end.
Okay.
What's that?
Dave, give me a ring. Let's talk. Give me a ring and let's talk.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was going to talk to Sherry too, maybe next week on the team deal, mainly because my background has been in the operations, kind of the client relationship management side, where we had salespeople that went out and got the work, got the clients, and then I went and preached the background service side, and that's where I've always had my success, is supporting that sales part, plus also building those client relationships to make a long-term relationship.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that'd be good, because that can carry into other fields too. In different perspectives. I think the more complicated the deal is, the better you'll be involved with your experience. I just feel like, man, like you would like this $18 million deal, you and Deb too, like get with your guys' experience with just bigger companies and running these things. It's be huge, because there's 3 companies within this umbrella, and it's literally a new broker that just found it and got it and closed it. The owner flew in to Oklahoma to meet her. To do it. So
She already flew in?
The owner did, the private jet.
Oh my God.
He flew on his private jet, which always makes me mad. But whatever. Yeah, but it's but yeah, I mean, they could use the Dave and the Deb on the team, if that makes sense. So but anyway, if you want to link up, I could definitely do some introductions, and we could put you guys together. So
Collaboration over competition, guys. Let's go.
All right. Well, good to see you.
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right.